That's my workout for the day done. Filmed a really challenging video for Challenge XXX just now. Pretty much got to failure in a couple of the exercises, so if you're joining me for that challenge, you'll know that's for real. But anyway, I was thinking about you guys, as I always do, and some of the chat we were having yesterday. And it's kind of a little bit related to what we were talking about, sort of, you know, body confidence, but also on a practical level as well. I've been asked quite a few times recently about abs, about getting the six-pack. Now, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what works. Let's talk about what doesn't work. Okay, I mentioned this on the site the other day, but just to recap, if somebody tells you that a particular exercise is going to burn fat in a different area, in a particular area, I would really probably not listen to that person about anything, because that's no exercise. No exercise can spot reduce fat. It doesn't happen. The body's fat stores enter the bloodstream and are used as energy that way. They don't go into the area that you're working in a particular exercise. It's simple biology. I know how much we all want to believe that we can, you know, reduce belly fat or bum fat or thigh fat by making that muscle burn. It isn't. I'm sorry, I can't change that. It's not up to me. I don't decide these things. What I can do is tell you what works. Okay? So when you feel that burn is in the muscle. If you're doing crunches, if you're doing like I don't know, little wall sits or thigh squats or movements that isolate the glutes and the bum, or upper arms, whatever area you're trying to target. When you feel the burn, when doing those little movements for those, isolating those areas, the burn is in the muscle. That's waste products building up in your muscles, might be little tiny tears in the fibres in the muscles, that kind of thing. That's what's causing that burning sensation. It's nothing to do with fat burning from any particular area. It's a good thing to do. It is a good thing to work those areas that you feel like you want to shape up, but what you are doing when you're targeting those areas is you're building muscle in that area. You're making the muscle bigger, firmer. So you're trying to define it, you're trying to sculpt that area, and that can make it look better. That can make the fat that's sitting with, you know, and you know, when I talk straight, if you've got fat in that area, it can make the fat that's going to still be there, sitting on top of that muscle, it can make it look better. It can make that area look firmer and more shapely. So that's why we still work on particular problem areas quite a bit. But if you want to get the fat off, it's about burning energy during your workouts. It's these full body moves. Those are the moves that burn the most energy. So those are the moves that are going to burn the most fat. Getting the heart rate going, getting the body powered up and using energy. And to use up energy, obviously your body needs to be tapping into your fat stores and not food that you're putting in, which is just obviously fueling your workouts, so that it's not taking fuel from your fat stores. So that's why diet is so important. I mean, my thing is, you know, people tend to come to me because they're into fitness and they're looking for fitness as a solution to their body fat levels. So my challenge is always tends to be getting people to sort their diet out because they don't want to. Because they don't want to change how they eat. They were hoping they could carry on eating the same stuff. And very occasionally that can work if they were only in a slight sort of energy surplus. Occasionally results can be got that way. But more often than not, and chances are, I'm sorry, but you're going to need to change your diet. You're going to need to eat wholesome, unprocessed foods. You're going to need to get your proteins in. You're going to need to minimise sugar, alcohol, processed carbohydrates, and that's what's going to get the fat off. That's what's going to reveal those muscles you've been working on. That's what's going to give you that sculpted shape. Now, let's talk about abs for a minute, because that's something I get asked about a lot. So, who's got awesome abs? Let's pick a couple of athletes. Jessica Ennis and Usain Bolt, for example. Do you think that they get down on the mat and do loads of little crunches? Don't want to be big-headed, but I quite often get people asking me how they can get abs like mine. I very rarely do crunches. I do the kind of exercises you've been doing in Coregasm. They've helped me sculpt my abdominal area, and also the full body moves that we do all through this program and any other program that I do now. That's what's going to sculpt the abs. The reason why Jessica Ennis has got awesome abs is because she does a well-rounded program, she eats well, and she uses her core when she's doing those jumping movements, those athletic movements. Like that. She's using her core to pull those knees up. Too many people, they just do these, because they want to feel the burn in the abs, they do loads of crunches, loads of sit-up type exercises. That's not really it. That's not really it. It's about the whole body working as one unit, getting that core doing its job to keep you stable, to keep your posture good, to keep you in position to pull your knees up in those exercises, getting the hip flexors involved, getting the whole of the core, and that's when you start working as one unit, and that's when you get really explosive and powerful, and that's when you start looking like an athlete, because you're training like an athlete. Usain Bolt, when he sprints, he's using the core to pull up those knees, really driving them up, a sprinter like that. He's not on the mat doing loads of little crunches. There's a place for those exercises. There's a place for feeling the burn, and I do a bit of it. But if you want to sculpt the abs, your main focus needs to be on these big full body exercises, the core work, your explosive moves, where you drill those knees up. Where do you think that's coming from? I really want you to focus on the core when you're doing like jumping moves in like Gambardi and workouts like that. That's what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully that's some practical advice for you today, and you know, you can do as much sculpting as you want for any muscle. If there's a layer of fat on top of it, it's not gonna, it's not gonna show through. And the thing about abs is, it's dependent on where on your body you store fat. It's dependent on obviously your level of body fat. My abs will look more chiseled when I'm leaner. I like to periodise my training, so sometimes you'll notice that they look more defined than others, and that's because I'm managing when I do sort of how I schedule my training. Sometimes I'm eating a bit more, being a bit more relaxed on the diet, focusing a bit more on certain areas of the training, and that's because I've got to a level where I'm training smart and I know what my goals are. You may not be there yet, we can talk about that further down the line, but just for now, be aware that getting abs is about stripping fat from the midsection. It's about sculpting the muscles. Same with any other areas, arms, thighs, bum, all the same thing. It's about getting the fat off that area, and then that muscle that you've been working on underneath is going to reveal and look amazing. We're working on it. Any questions on this, or obviously any other area, you know where I am, at Julia on the website. See you there.